This is ABC Radio Brisbane and Queensland.
All right, let me introduce you to our guest this evening, a man who was the voice of Big Brother for quite a while. Go on, do it.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, do it.
This is Big Brother.
That's fantastic.
Kelly, if you don't mind Big Brother saying, you put the divine in Higgins-Devine.
That's becoming a promo. Done. How many years were you the voice of Big Brother?
Oh, gosh, 4 all told. So countless long nights and hours sort of face-to-face with a microphone just like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, watching, observing.
Were you must have been, someone was saying, all right, now you've got to tell them such and such. Or were you just, every now and again, just randomly chat with them?
No, that's the number one kind of question that I get if people find out and they want to know, how did that all work? Did they tell you what to say?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. There's no time to be told what to say. There's no furious legion of monkeys behind me tapping away on typewriters, handing me pages, because that's kind of the job is, what do you say next?
Wow.
And yeah, so
you got to watch them all the time.
yeah, it's like
That's cruel and unusual punishment.
it is. It's sort of like an overgrown kindergarten combined with Orwell. So no 2 days were the same. It was very weird.
Leon Murray, welcome
Thank you for
to
having
the
me.
ABC.
Take all the time you want.
This is
Do
Big
not
Brother.
hurry.
Sam, you have been evicted.
Oh, you got.
You have 10 seconds
You're a
to
legend.
leave the Big Brother
Look
house.
after that hat, man.
10,
Sam, you get to share an
9,
eviction with Delilah.
8, 7,
Just steal
6,
Delilah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And Sam's out.
And did you see how flawless that backwards counting was?
That
I mean,
was
were you
excellent.
really
You
paying
didn't even
attention?
pause. You're
No.
like, 8, oh God, what comes in 7?
Well, I'll let you in on the secret. I had it written down for me.
Well done.
Yeah, 10 down to 1, just to make sure I didn't miss any.
That's fantastic.
I had to do that every week, kicking people out.
That whole job, though, was it a 7-day-a-week event for you, or?
I had some helpers. It was
Yeah.
a bit like I'm Santa, and then there's Santa's
some
helpers.
elves,
Yeah. But it was pretty. It's 24/7 operation. They're obviously in that house for real. That's where they live and sleep and breathe and eat. So we had to have eyes on them the whole time. But I got some sleep here and there as well.
What was the worst thing you ever saw?
Well,
That you can talk about on the ABC.
yeah. I mean, lots of vomit. People.
Gee, we
worse
didn't
than
get to
that.
see much vomit.
No, I think they just didn't.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's
Like, that's
not as
a bad thing.
entertaining to look at as you might imagine, you know. Yeah, it's occasionally.
Depends, if you
Occasionally.
don't like the person, it's always funny.
Yeah, that's true.
When your
And-
enemies vomit, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, there was some. Yeah, we had some. Well, not fisticuffs, but you know, some serious.
Argy-bargy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just people doing things to their bodies that is not fit for either things coming out or
Yeah.
things going in. Dare I say?
Righty-o.
Yeah, I mean, always, of course, under the famous doona.
Yes, a
But,
lot of there's a lot of
Dancing
doona
duvet.
dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That was incredibly brave. Like, there is nothing on God's little green earth. Even when I was young and slim and all those things where you think, no, I'm a little bit braver than I, I'm not as brave now as I was then for that sort of stuff.
You thinking
I wouldn't
showers?
have done that. Yeah, showers when they're all nude. It was like, no,
Yeah, well,
never.
Do you know what? It's funny when you said, what's the worst thing I've ever seen? My mind didn't immediately go to hundreds of penises. I don't know why I didn't say that answer, but I think everybody is beautiful, really. So, you know, people...
You liar.
Yeah, no, I am lying. But, you know, people were pretty comfortable for the most part. I think what I found out, and it is so bizarre to sort of put yourself there and know what it's like. And in conversations with them afterwards, the housemates would say that you just forget. And it took no time at all. Within 2 days, they'd because you're just in a house that happens to have a lot more windows than a normal house. And they just carry on living their lives. And they, apart from the odd voice in the sky saying, the hot water is now off or something, you know, they just forget that it's controlled.
Was it a powerful feeling to be able to do those things? Because I'd enjoy that, I think, just messing with other people's lives in a way that they have asked for, not sort of maliciously, but just, hey, you put yourselves in here, so off we go.
There was a certain godlike magnificence to it all, Kelly.
It would have been excellent.
It's funny. There's a slight puppet on the string feeling where you sort of can say jump and they say how high. And I chatted to them afterwards. They said it's bizarre how this voice comes from the ceiling and your ears prick up and you stand to attention and you go, what does he want us to do? It's it's obviously an unnatural thing. It's a very strange environment, but it's one of the most unique. I mean, it is the most unique job I've ever had, and it was a cool thing to be a part of, and also formed some pretty cool relationships with the housemates as well, like an actual bond, because they have Big Brother as this father figure and they do feel cared for, and it is part of our duty of care, and that role was part of my duty of care to care for these people. So they had this almost dad-like sort of he's looking after us kind of feeling, and that was cool.
Do you reckon that was part of the voice though too? If your voice had been, a little higher pitched with a Cockney accent, for example, that maybe that wouldn't have had the same effect.
This is Big Brother. Kelly, you have 10 seconds to leave the house.
That is it though. It's a Welsh guy in the UK Big Brother.
Yeah,
Is
true.
it? Yeah.
But I
it's
think
like
around the world they have different kinds of Big Brothers. A lot less of a character in other countries, I've heard. And I think in Australia it was cool because we had the creative license to sort of push that character further and further until it sort of did become a bit, larger than life. So they really interacted with, this personality in the end. And, he was very sarcastic and tongue-in-cheek, and he would sort of take the proverbial out of them at every opportunity. So that was pretty delicious fun as well.
Yeah, it would have been great.
It was fabulous.
When they met you, were you what they expected?
No, because you may have noticed that I'm a somewhat shorter statured gentleman. And I think what they imagined was sort of if you picture like a Cary Grant / George Clooney kind of swirling brandy in a goblet on the deck of
older
his
guy.
yacht, kind of, with a cigar possibly and slippers. And then they get greeted with what's essentially like a greying Frodo Baggins. So I think they were taken aback. In fact, heaps of double takes. They were I saw jaws drop because they just didn't believe it.
When I first met you, I actually sort of was sick into my mouth a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I get that
we
a
worked
lot.
together on Big Brother as well. I was there for the last 3 seasons that Leon did, and I was in a capacity where I also had to be listening to the house the whole time, so I was also listening to the same conversations that he was.
I hope you were both well recompensed for that, because I
but also
couldn't imagine
having
any
him
other
as
reason you'd do it.
It was a really, really fun job, and it is like a really interesting kind of human experiment. But I was sort of traumatized at the end of it because I didn't actually meet Leon until
The very last...
probably
It
the
was
last
after it
season,
finished.
or maybe it was like the first season, but it would have been at the wrap party. So
Yeah.
you've already had 3 months listening to this voice, and it was creepy and weird.
Thanks.
I remember.
Cheers.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it remains that way, strangely. After all these years.
You would have worked with Bruce. We need a Big Brother reunion. You would have worked with Bruce Redmond then, who apparently was one of the...
Oh, really? Early on?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
He's a guest as well who comes in
There you go.
regularly.
Yes, I
Indeed.
think like the creme de la creme of Queensland, media personalities have sort of, touched in at one point or another, because that's the other part of it. It actually gave a lot of people a lot of jobs for quite a long time.
I reckon it'll come back. It's almost on the verge, I reckon, of...
Poised for a reboot.
Poised for I was reading a TV Facebook group and the thread was, what would you do to Big Brother to make it relevant and successful?
Yes, yeah.
And quite a few really good suggestions. Someone basically said make it Survivor, but...
Make it the Hunger Games.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Make them kill each other.
Yeah,
what
that's
could
it,
possibly
yeah.
go wrong?
Yes. This is Big Brother. Katniss, put down the bow and arrow immediately.
And pick up the longbow.
I did actually quite literally have to tell a housemate once to put down a sausage because it had stayed out all day after lunch and she was trying to eat it for dinner.
That's right.
Oh,
So,
goodness. I do
We don't
remember...
want food poisoning.
No, I do remember you telling them that they couldn't use a cloth that had been used for the toilet,
Big
to
time.
wash the
Yeah.
dishes.
That's right. Yes.
That's right.
Oh,
Somebody
that was
tried to
big
scrub the
news.
toilet.
Yeah.
It was huge. Big Brother voice in the UK is Marcus Bentley, who's a Geordie from Newcastle, in the
that's
northeast of
right.
England.
Geordie, yeah.
Yes.
So there we go.
Because he's like, go to the diary room.
Yeah. Day 38.
Yes, dear 30
It's
years.
strange. But, I did see April Fool's Day prank that went around, which was an article written completely straight style, a TV article that it's come back to 10. Lisa Wilkinson is the new, Gretel and Sonia. And
God, we were excited.
Yeah, we thought just for a glimmer there, it's April 1. Why are they doing this to us? But, well, maybe one day.